All right, guys. So Diablo 4 just put out another trailer for the game. This one is inside the game, the World of Sanctuary. This looks more like a Vidoc, where they kind of explain what they've done with the world and with the World of Sanctuary. I, like a lot of people, probably a lot of you, are really looking forward to Diablo 4. So anytime we get new information, I'm always excited to check it out. So let's jump into the Vidoc. We'll kind of look at it and we'll break it down in real time. I'll try not to pause it a whole lot because it is kind of a long Vidoc anyway. But let's just kind of go ahead and look at it, and then we'll just do some live reaction and just kind of see what it's going to be as we're going through.
Sanctuary is the world in which the story of Diablo takes place. And it's the battleground for the souls of humanity and the fight between angels and demons.
Sanctuary
That
is a
looked
vast
pretty
world.
good.
There'll always be something new in every area, like hordes of enemies, safe haven towns, resources to gather, events, quests, and more.
We wanted to...
It kind of gives me an older Diablo feel more than anything. I don't know if that's... Maybe it's just the art style, but it definitely gives me more of an older Diablo feel. I don't know what you guys think.
bring Diablo 4 artistically more back towards like Diablo 2, the much darker.
So I've never seen this, and that's exactly what they just said right after I said it looks like they rolled the art style back, which is interesting.
Style is very macabre.
The artists and designers have had so much fun working on it, and it's just been a joy to create for us.
How would the people of Sanctuary show their world? What kinds of art would they use to describe the world? One of the things we really wanted to do was make the game feel like a painting.
Everything was built by a wonderful group of people who love Diablo as much as you do.
I like it.
We have 5 unique zones.
Each of the regions
Let's look at the zones
flavor
before I say
and
anything
ambient
about
life.
it.
We take a lot of influence from what our concept artists give us, and I know they take a lot of influence from real life.
There's Kyrgyzstan, which
It's
is
definitely
this sort of
dark.
It's amazing with its sweeping sand dunes.
Skazglen, which is inspired by Scotland. Fractured Peaks is inspired by the Carpathian Mountains.
The Dry Steppes is sort of our mountainous desert region, and Hawazar is the swampy region of the south. Whether you're on a mount or on foot, it's a joy to go from
on
one
a
region
mount?
to the next. Also, the region transitions are really beautiful and stunning.
Interesting to see the mounts.
Making sure that it felt sort of geologically true was really important. If you walk from Fractured Peaks into Hawazar, you'll cross all of these waterfalls caused by snowmelt. So you can actually see the snow melting in
Forced
Fractured
overhead,
Peaks
you can't
through
see the world in
waterfalls, entering into
360.
Hawazar and entering the
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely the style that Diablo's known for. It's definitely not the style for everyone. I don't know. Hopefully the game doesn't just stay entirely muddy dark. But we'll have to wait and see.
large basin that fills Hawazar with all of the swamp water.
We have all the different environments in the overworld, and we tried to make sure there was some parity with those in the dungeons. We have dungeons that are flooded, and there's like moss everywhere. It very much
It needs
fits
some
in with
color.
that Skazglen environment. Kyrgyzstan is all desert, so we have dungeons filled with sand.
Yeah, I
all
mean-
the dungeons are particularly placed to make sure.
I mean, it's definitely, and I get it, Terrea. It's definitely just a hallmark of Diablo, right? I like that they're playing this footage with the HUD off. That way it's not really clouded up and you can see the footage, though.
So that they feel like this is a thing that could be in this part of the world. It fits here, it belongs here.
So dirty per the dev, yeah. I mean, they wanted it to be like this muddied out
We
color.
definitely redesigned some of the monsters. For example, the Fallen family has gone through a major redesign to make
Oh,
them
looks
feel
good.
more grim, a little scarier, a little darker, to match the tone of Diablo 4.
Monster families are a way to describe the group of monsters that create a combat experience. So a lot of times there'll be brutes and swarmers, melee or casters, and that's the term that we use to sum up the vampires or the drowned or the undead.
Dude, the
And all of them
drowned
have
look
unique
good.
abilities, but they all synchronize together. They bolster each other and improve how they work on the battlefield so that every time you fight a pack of, let's say, goatmen, it's always different.
We wanted to make sure that the monster families all felt like they fit in their environments, and so our creature team did a really good job of making these different versions of them that have adapted to their environment. There's snowy goatmen and Fractured Peaks in some of the colder areas versus lightning goatmen are in Dry Steppes and kind of the more arid areas. Hawazar has a lot of poison spiders.
Each of the regions has its own kind of flavor. It's pretty exciting to discover.
We have
I'm excited to
some
look
really
at it
cool
and
new
just see.
Snakemen, the Nangari. We've seen Snakemen in Diablo before, but these
that
guys
looks tough.
just really twisted amalgamations of multiple snake heads, even human body parts. We have skeletons, we have undead, we have ghosts, all the things that you would expect to find from a Diablo game.
Spiders have been around in Diablo forever, but the spider host was a cool new twist.
It's a giant spider.
You gotta get ready
that
for the
attaches
night,
to a
Siege
corpse
Striker.
and then puppets it at you. And when you kill it, it explodes with tons of baby spiders. And then those little spiders come after you. And I feel slightly guilty about traumatizing a lot of people with it.
We also have wildlife, deer, snakes, bugs, dogs.
Okay.
You can pet the dogs, by the way.
So many people
I heard that you
asked
could
about
pet the
dog.
dogs.
It was actually a lot of hard work to figure out how to pet that dang dog.
All right.
You have so many activities that you might run into. It could be a stronghold, it could be side quests. You might have key dungeons to do. There could be bounties to pick up. You might encounter a world boss. You might encounter an invasion event of some kind.
We have much longer.
So it sounds like
sort of
there's gonna be-
narrative-heavy side quests, and we have some shorter
It sounds like there's going to be just a lot to do in the world.
side quests, so you never feel like you're always doing the same thing. The pacing is always a little bit different. One of the things that I really loved about our announcement was the by 3 They Come cinematic. I was able to build a quest.
can carry
where
the
you
Rage
actually
Striker,
get
be
to
easy.
Go to those places. You get to go to the town. You get to go inside the chapel. And I worked with
Okay.
some incredible dungeon designers to build the dungeon from the cinematic. You're gonna get to go across the bridge that you saw to the actual room where Lilith was summoned. I don't want to spoil too much, but I'm super excited to have players see it.
Sometimes it's kind of nice to just walk places, because that's a lot of the times when you see these little events.
You might find a demonic altar that you need to feed your blood to summon demons, to then
I hope that like this game takes a cue from other games like Destiny and stuff, where a lot of these like side events don't become just something that you skip by because they're completely worthless in the end game. You know what I mean? 'Cause that's like a big thing that games do anymore. They add all of this stuff to do, and it's fun during like the initial part, but then once people find the optimal ways to play the game, all this content just goes by the wayside because nobody can be bothered to do it because it's not rewarding enough. So I'm curious to see how this content kind of holds up in the long run.
defeat for all of their loot. You might find a ghost child who's trying to find
You know what
the
I mean?
remains of their parents, and you have to protect them. We have strongholds, which are a sort of large area that you can enter, and it
Side
has its own
quest felt
story, its
good.
own setup, its own sort of art.
Exactly. Like Hogwarts Legacy, it felt good because everything felt like it was important on your progress through. So hopefully everything feels good as a progress stepping stone. And then when you get to the end game, when seasons start, happening, you're grinding your Diablo character. Hopefully these sort of events are still worth doing.
That sort of tells a very specific story about this location, and those
Yeah.
stay unlocked permanently once you've beaten back the darkness.
Everything
We
to
did a
count
lot
for
of figuring
something.
out the
Exactly. It
balance
needs to
between,
count
like, how
for
much space do we
something.
need for players to play through these dungeons versus how much space do we need to make them look cool. My favorite is this one called Endless Gates. It's got these teleporters, and these teleporters actually take you to other dungeons. So you'll end up in a cave, a crypt, or one of the ancients. And every time you go in, it's designed to change.
And there's dozens of villages and towns that you will run into.
The cities and towns are designed to be hubs. They're havens. They're places where you can find other players. They're good places to do all of your usual inventory management.
Each region has its main city that you can get lots of side quests and lots of
Okay.
activities.
We've really crafted the world to feel like there's always something just around the corner to find.
Right. So as long as the stuff
In
around the
Diablo
corner
4,
is
you actually get to
worthwhile.
walk Sanctuary.
It's a massive place that you can seamlessly explore with no loading in between zones, which is something brand new.
I mean, ideally, in this day and age, you probably shouldn't have a lot of loading anymore. So hopefully there's just, I mean, it makes sense for games anymore to have like next to no loading, especially a game like Diablo, right? Like Diablo is a big game, but it's not that big all at the same time. So you should be able to seamlessly load in like without any loading screens.
It's a
So that makes
very
sense.
immersive experience.
What I love about it is that you can go in a direction and you might be searching for a particular quest or an item, and you'll come across a stronghold that you haven't explored before. You'll come across dungeons that have legendary affixes, or you might discover a side quest that you didn't even know about that fills in some bit of lore that you actually were interested in. There's any number of things that can happen.
That's
along the
Necro
road
right
to
there,
your
right?
Destination, and that's what I love about
Hopefully
having
the
this
spells are
fast-paced-
what
There are
adds the
tons of different
color,
types
right?
of events
So like
in
if the
the
game
world.
and everything's
It's been
washed out and
created
dark,
to
that's fine.
feel full of things
Hopefully
to encounter,
the
full of
combat
secrets to
adds the
discover, full of
color.
characters to interact with, full of stories to find. We have these
How you doing,
altars to the
Connor?
left. If you can find them, they will give you a permanent buff to all of your characters across the game. There are tons of them hidden everywhere. We also have these massive world bosses that are so big the camera actually has to pull out even further. And you're going to have an opportunity to fight these bosses with your friends or with strangers to take down these huge world bosses.
And
I like world bosses.
An incredible job making Sanctuary a world worth exploring and a world worth investing yourself in.
I mean, there's a lot of good things in this Vidoc. I'm excited to get into it. The Vidoc showed me some information. It definitely didn't show me a lot, but a lot of it was gameplay, and it was shot in engine, which is nice. So I'm curious to see more of like how the different like classes and stuff interact, how the spells look, how the game looks. I kind of like that they went back to the older style, but it is kind of like dull and muddy to look at. So hopefully they found a way to kind of like spice it up with the colors. But there you go. That is the latest Vidoc. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage.